page 79. We're looking at lesson 21, and particularly the participle building slots of the middle and passive voices. Okay? I want to refer you to vocab. We are not going to go over the vocab. We don't have enough time, so let's go straight to page 80. Okay, notice we have two charts. One is a middle voice and the other is a passive voice. Now, I want you to keep your finger on page 76 so that you can go back and forth. Okay, so keep your finger on page 76 so we can go back and forth. If you want to, you can even take it out of your and just kind of. All right. Now, I want you to note the differences between your middle and your active. All right. Now, on present tense, or on all of your middle voices, you're going to have the men as the syllable. You see that men syllable there? All right. On all of them, you're going to have that. Okay. And then you'll notice that on the present, just starting with just the present tense, the only difference between your active and your middle is that you're going to have a thematic vowel omicron, where in the active you don't have any kind of a thematic vowel. Okay? And then the ending, instead of using an IME ending, you're going to be using a first or second declension ending. Okay? Now, are you aware of where you get those first and second declension endings? You get those from your charts, right? From your noun charts.
The masculine, the feminine, and the neuter.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Exactly. That's where you get that. Okay. Now, your second declension will cover both neuter and masculine. Okay. You can see that on page. Oh yeah, on point 5 on page 81, look at 5. The masculine and neuter, the corresponding second declension endings are used. Okay, number 6, the feminine, in the feminine, the first declension endings are used. Okay?
So will it employ, like, is it the normal beta first declension, or is it the alpha endings?
Say again?
Is it going to be the alpha endings or the beta?
It's the second.
Here, hang on. Let's do this. Okay, let's just, I'm just going to go through and we're just going to explain the whole thing this way. Okay, in the middle participle, you can recognize the middle participle. Number 1, the correct stem is used as for the finite verbs. So you're going to use the same stem. No stem change, you're going to have the same stem. Okay, in this case, it's lu. Okay? The proper sign will be found in all tenses. Okay, the proper sign will be found in all tenses. Notice that the sign for the present is blank, and that's the way it would be in the finite verb. For future, the sign is sigma, which you expect that in the finite verb. And then for first aorist, sigma alpha, which also you would expect that in the finite verb. And then for the perfect, you have the kappa with no thematic vowel, which is the way you would have in the finite verb. Okay, so those are all the same. Okay, the proper thematic vowel is found, as in the case of the finite verb, as we've already said.
Where do you find
There's
the kappa?
no kappa though, right?
There's no kappa in the middle.
Oh, yes, okay, well, okay, we'll get there. I'm just going point by point. Okay, so let me just get to that. In the perfect, the reduplication is found as usual, okay, but no kappa sign as in the active. In your active, you have, I was looking at the wrong chart, I'm sorry. In the active, you have a kappa, but in the middle, you do not have a kappa. That's the difference there. But don't worry, okay, because you still have the reduplication in your first augment. So you still have that. So when you see that, first thing you think of,
Slam
perfect.
dunk.
Yeah, almost slam dunk. mostly slam dunk.
Keep saying that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rebounds, more like a rebound.
Okay.
Slam dunk or bust.
Okay, so, after the thematic vowel, the syllable men is added in all middle participles. All middle participles will have that men,
Here's your slam dunk.
okay? In the masculine and neuter, the corresponding second declension endings are used. Okay, so both masculine and neuter will use the second declension endings. Okay? Now you say, well, what's the difference? Because remember, neuter is your aw declensions. Your aw declension, remember the omicron declension? Forget about the omicron declension. That does not apply in your middle and passive participles. Okay? It's just the second declension. And the second declension ending of a participle can be either masculine or neuter, depending on the noun that it modifies. All right. Number 6, in the feminine, the first declension endings, the endings which use the eta, like the feminine article, are used in the singular, are employed. Okay? And then, of course, we just talked about the perfect. The reduplication is found as usual, but there's no tapa sign as in the active. We have an example there. You've got several examples. You'll just look at those in your own time. The examples help you to kind of work through what we just said. Okay? So in your own time, look at those examples, and those will make things much, much simpler for you, more clear. Let's go to number 121 at the bottom of page 81. Again, keeping your charts, your active chart and your middle chart and your passive chart where you can see it, okay? The explanation of the passive participle chart. Now notice number 1, the present and perfect passive participles are the same in form as the present perfect middle participles, which is why on the chart you've got same as middle. So the only difference in your passives are going to be in the future and first aorist. That's the only difference in your passives.
So that's where you would have to use context?
Right. Context will tell you whether it's a middle or a passive in the present and perfect. Okay? But in the future and first aorist, that will be very specific whether it's passive or middle. Okay. The future passive participle is the same as the future middle participle, except the sign theta eta sigma is used in place of the sign sigma. And we would expect that, right? Because of the fact that theta eta sigma is a passive and the sigma is active or middle. So that would be expected. Okay? There's an example there. You can look at that on your own time. Number 3, and I'm on page 82 in case you're wondering. The first aorist participle passive is the same form as the first aorist active, except the theta eta sigma is used instead of the sigma alpha. Okay, and of course we would expect that, right? Now notice, in addition to this, and you might want to underscore this, put a little star beside it or whatever. In addition to this, an iota is added after the epsilon of the sign when the epsilon occurs before a sigma. Okay, you're like, okay, what does that mean?
I before E except after C or something.
Well, yeah, okay, look at your example. Let's see here. Okay, if you look at the example, the second sentence in the example, you see it there, the second sentence in the example. In the dative plural, where the form would seem to be theta eta or theta epsilon sigma iota, see it there? The addition of the iota would make it theta eta or theta epsilon, iota sigma iota. Do you get what that's, huh?
Where was that example?
On page 82, under the example on point 3. Okay, because remember, if you go to, okay, I'm going to go to a noun chart. Let's go to page, I need to go to, okay, second declension. If you go to page 42, okay, page 42, the dative plural, you find your dative plural there? The dative plural is ois, right? You see it there, ois. Okay? But because you have the theta epsilon, you're going to drop that initial vowel sound, okay, which is O, or omicron. You drop that because of the preceding epsilon. But once you have that preceding, once you drop that, now you've got a sigma that's going to appear there, so you've got to stick an epsilon in between. Or, I'm sorry, an iota in between. Okay, so let me write that out, because that might be a bit abstract. Okay, so what I've got here is okay, blue. Okay, so we've got blue, okay, right? Okay, so we've got that. We know that's an aorist passive, right? All right, now, if I use my second declension, then this would be the second declension, right? That's the second declension, right? On page 42 of the dative plural. Okay? Now, because I've got this, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this out. Wait, am I right? Where's the... Go back to page 42. Yeah, okay. Let's make sure I'm getting the right thing here. Okay, theta, eta. Okay, so I've got a dative plural. So what I would have, I've got the sigma, and because of this, then I'm going to put this in there. Okay, you see that?
No.
No. Okay, so let me make sure I'm getting everything right. Oh, okay, duh. Okay. All right, here it is. Okay, I didn't even. Okay, look in your passive chart. Look at your passive chart. Go right across. You'll notice you have IME. Right. That's what it was. Okay, so you got the IME ending, not the second declension ending. So go to. See, this is why I love doing this. Again, going back over this because I'll invariably miss things like that. Okay, so look at your dative plural. Okay, when I was going over this, I was wondering what I was missing there. Okay, so my IME, my dative plural, okay, is going to be usi, right?
What page is that on?
On page 72. Okay, so I've got an usi. See it there? All right, now, because of this, okay, this is going to drop out. Because of this. So that my initial, this is what we were talking about earlier, Reaper, when we were talking about the initial vowel sound, which can be a diphthong, is going to drop out. And so then you push these two together, but you can't do that. You got to put that in there because of the iota. That if there's a sigma, if there's a sigma that follows the epsilon, then you need to put an iota in between them. That makes sense? Remember, what do I have here?
And you're only adding that.
What I
iota
actually have
because
here
of
is a
that
boost-
sigma?
Huh?
You're only adding that iota because of that epsilon sigma.
Because of the epsilon sigma. And you'll see the point there under the chart, under the passive chart. See it there on the second footnote? The iota is added after the epsilon of the theta eta, or the theta epsilon, when the epsilon occurs before the sigma, before a sigma. Okay? See it here? So that's my IME. My dative plural IME is right there. Okay? I drop this out because of this, but then when I drop that out, then I've got the sigma that appears right after the epsilon, so then I have to insert an iota. And that's literally what you have on the chart. Okay, you can see it there on the chart, but just work through that and you'll see how it works. I'm sorry for inserting the second declension. I was like, that doesn't work out. What in the world am I missing there? And then it makes sense because I'm using the iron. Okay, do you get that? Okay, look, guys, just write it out. Just write it out, and you'll see it. It'll start to make sense. Just writing out that verb, and you'll see it. Okay. All right. Boy, this is getting pedantic, isn't it? Okay. All right.
Okay. See, in the assignment, we're starting to get some sentences that we are supposed to translate into Greek.
Yeah, they've been there for a while.
Have they?
Yeah.
He said he could read it.
Oh boy. All right. So we didn't even get to lesson 22.
And next week's a 3-chapter week,
He said you're.
Is it?
so,
I think of that
Is it a 3-chapter week?
yeah.
next week, right?
23, 24, and 25.
Okay. All right.
Just read 23 on our own.
No, because it's gonna be too hard for you to do it that way. Okay, so I actually put these up there for that reason, to show you here's your participle here. This is a participle, here's a participle, and then another participle over here. I did this in order so that it would make it a little easier. So if you want, do you have phones? If you have phones, you can take a picture of it. Okay. See here, we've got Paul. So you've got the angel, okay, who is loosing the righteous one is evil. Okay.
Doesn't make sense.
The angel who is loosing, or who, I'm sorry, destroying, actually I meant to say destroying, the righteous one is evil. Okay? Notice this corresponds with this, right? See that? Okay, those two correspond together, okay? Which tells me that this is also a second attributive. Second attributive, okay? This agrees with this in case number, in case gender and number, okay? The two of them agree. This one is a present tense though. Okay, we do the same thing here. Now this is a little different. We've got the holy God. And then this is the participle, the present participle, who is loving the righteous ones, is sending the Son, is the one who is sending the Son.
Can you say that one more time, please?
This one? Okay. The holy God, who is loving the righteous ones, is the one who is sending the Son. Now, do you see how those participles sound?